Morning, boys.
Morning,
You
mate.
all right?
Yeah, we're good, man. How are you? You all right? You look well.
I was all right until I saw them dance moves, mate, that you were doing.
Do you know,
Wow.
what about the singing? Do you like a little bit of
Singing,
Van Joss?
the singing weren't bad, but you were
Dance moves are bad.
you were,
Stiff.
you were stiff, yeah.
Can I? It's too early for that joke. Can I ask you when we play a VT like that, the package, and you hear your name mentioned, when you hear that you've become a manager of a cup-winning side, do you get goosebumps? Because that must be for you such an amazing moment in your career.
Yeah, yeah, and you know what as well, Andy, like I said before, when you're in season, and after that game that was on a Sunday, we had a game Wednesday that we just had to win. So you don't really get a chance to reflect or think about it, but then when the season finishes and you have a little bit of time, yeah, it's a nice feeling.
How are you finding being a manager, Jack? Because, it's like when we were players, the abuse you can get off the sideline. Have you had much of that as a manager from other clubs, fans?
It's worse, Gabby.
I can
It's worse.
imagine.
Yeah, no, look, I think the biggest difference is that you are and you feel it. You feel the responsibility. So, we went on a really bad away run, and like it would just eat you up. Yeah, like you'd be at home and you'd be thinking like, we tried this, we tried that. So yeah, you're constantly thinking about it, and yeah, you take a lot of stick.
Are they the major differences, Jack? There's a player when the game's finished, you sort of come home, you can unwind, but as a manager, it's the complete opposite.
Yeah, that's especially in League One as well. And I mean, it's probably the same across all the divisions now. But the schedule is crazy. So you could be playing on a Tuesday or Wednesday night in up north somewhere, and then you've got to get back and prepare for the next game. So yeah, you just have to. Like you get a little probably half hour after the game to, if you win, to smile and enjoy it, but then you're on to the next one.
Yes.
Well, listen, I know the season just ended, but we wish you well for next season. I'm
Yes.
sure we'll speak to you many
Thank
more
you.
times before. Let's talk about your former side, Arsenal, closing in on the title now. How are you feeling ahead of that one? 2 games to go.
Yeah, again, like I haven't had that much nice chance to watch them or think about it, but now, yeah, I mean, I'm happy for them. I'm happy. I know there's a lot of what's the word? I would say haters out there that are questioning whether they deserve it, whether they played the right football, but yeah, they need to get it over the line. I think they're at that point. I think Mikel's at that point where, was it 6 seasons now? We got close second. They just have to get it over the line, find a way, and I think they will.
It's funny you say that about there's a lot of people out there that don't want Arsenal to win. We had Paul Scholes, the legend that is Paul Scholes, on our show earlier on in the week. He said this Arsenal team won't be remembered in history as a great team.
I was listening. I listened all week.
What's your view on it? Oh, thanks, Jack. What's your view on it?
It's been like the Man United show, but it's all right. Listen, right now, no, I agree with him. They won't, but I think if they go on to win this, then they've got the opportunity. They've earned the right, if you like, to then go again and win. And if they can do that, that's when you get remembered, I think. And yeah, it'd be a massive achievement for them as a team, as a club. They haven't won it in, 20 years, 22 years or something. So I think they'll be remembered within the club as a team that brought it back, but then they have to go again. And I'm sure that Mikel will do everything he can to try and do that.
Jack, I know the way you played football, you'd be a big fan of PSG. How does this Arsenal team beat them over just one game? What sort of tactics do you reckon Arteta has to put in place for them to get it over the line?
It's a tough one, Gabby, that. It's a tough one. But I think, one-off game, final. I think Arsenal, what I liked about Arsenal recently is, there was a time in the season where they weren't playing as much football as I thought they could have. And then they started to a little bit. I think a big part of that is Martin Odegaard. I think he, you see when he comes on the pitch the other day and he just brings a little bit of control in midfield. I think they have to try and find some control. PSG is a different type of team. Like they just want to attack. They don't necessarily want to control the game with possession anymore. They just want to get it in forward areas, and they've got some dangerous players there. So they're going to have to be, the fullbacks, and they're going to have to defend really well, really well. And except sometimes they're going to get beat and then defend their box well. But I hope that they can, because of PSG don't really want that control. I hope Arsenal can take that control, but it'll be difficult. But that's what they need to do.
Jack, if you're at the club, right, what's bigger for you? Would it be to win the Prem or the Champions League? And also, what do you think is bigger for the club?
I think if you'd have asked that question at the start of the season, it would have been the Premier League. because I feel like they've been so close over the last few years, and that's been the whole big focus. And I think if you win that, you are the best team in the country. The league don't lie. And then it's tough. It's a really tough question because now they're in a position where they can potentially win both. I would probably rather win the Premier League. I think growing up as a young person in this country, like, I watched Premier League all my life, and I even watch Premier League years now. And to win the Premier League, I feel like is a massive, massive thing. But they're saying that the Champions League is as well. But yeah, I would say the Premier League for me.
Okay, let's move it on a bit. One team that won't be winning the Premier League this season, but they might win the Championship next season, is Spurs. Although it could be West Ham. Out of the two, who would you rather go down, Jack?
Used to play for us.
Yeah, I grew up a West Ham fan. Why have you got to ask me this? How have we gone from this to that?
It's a seamless link, wasn't it? It's a seamless link.
He's setting you up in case you play Spurs. He's setting you up.
Who do you think?
I grew up a West Ham fan. I know. That's all I'm going to say.
Who do you think is more likely to go down then?
Ooh, probably. Yeah, I'd say West Ham. I'd say Tottenham are favourites to stay up at the moment.
Do you think Spurs will get something at the Bridge when they play Chelsea?
I think they can. One thing about Tottenham and Spurs now is I love De Zerbi. I love him so much. Like, as a coach and as a young coach, like looking at an influence a coach can have on a team and the way they play. I love him. I do. I love him. So I think they got a chance with him.
I want to ask you about Max Dowman, because we've seen Ranieri go on loan. It didn't work for him at Marseille. He'll be coming back. Top player. You've got both of those players, plus Madueke, Saka, Trossard, Martinelli. How hard is it going to be for Arteta next season to manage the expectations for these players, especially a young player like Dowman who's just itching to be out there?
Yeah. I think they're two different situations because Ethan's a little bit older. He's played. He's had his more moments in the first team than Max had. Max is still sort of trying to find his way in there. I don't think he started a Premier League game. I know he started in the FA Cup, but he's still in that position where he's been coming on, making a difference, and he needs. You know what it's like, Gabby. You need to turn that into a start. That's completely different, and I'm sure he will. He's still really young. Like, honestly, I've never seen anything like that, Gabby. In the under-18s, when I had him, the talent, the ability to just change a game, it was unbelievable. And Ethan is slightly older, slightly more established, I would say. And he wanted to go out on loan and get some football. Didn't quite work out for him, but he would have learned so much from that, so much of like real life football, right? And probably a little bit more than that over in Marseille, like how emotional they are and the fans, how much they demand. Like, it's different, but he would have taken so much from that. So I feel like pre-season is big for both of them. I feel like, I used to always think that as a young player, like when it gets to pre-season, in the off-season, you do everything you can to make sure that you come back and you're ahead of everyone. And because in pre-season, everyone gets a chance. The minutes are shared. And then it's down to them to show Mikel and earn a place in his team. And it'll be hard. It'll be hard, especially if they go on to be champions, because the expectation just goes up again. But they both have the ability to do it, but it's down to them.
Would you take one on loan? Which one would you choose if you could?
Oh, the answer to that is yes.
Both.
Yeah. Whoever Mikel don't want, I'll just call him and ask him.
Have you spoke to Mikel or Arsenal about possibly taking not those players, but Arsenal players on loan for a bit?
Yeah, obviously I was in the academy and I've got a good link there.
Yeah.
The loans manager and the staff there. I'm always in contact with them to see, because I know a couple of them. I know a couple of them went out on loan this year, and we're always keeping eyes on them. But we took one from Man City, Emilio Lawrence in January, and like if you get time, look at his experience on loan. He came in, he was in the team, left out the team. I told him that he has to earn my trust. He did that, and he didn't look back. He just pushed on from there. So I do feel like loans are really good at this level for both parties, right? For us, because they had quality. There's a reason that they're at Man City and Arsenal, but also for their development.
Okay, a couple of questions before I let you go. One about England, the squad announcement. I think this time next week.
Yes.
All the reaction on talkSPORT, of course, gang. Outside the obvious ones like Declan Rice and Harry Kane, who do you think are the most important players for England this summer, Jack?
Good question. Yeah, it's all about form, right? And I know it's not always been like that when they pick a squad, and I get it that sometimes, you know, now as a manager, you just like certain players and you like the influence they have on the group. So it's a tough question. You know, there's so many like midfielders, there's so many 10s or 8s, whatever you want to call them. I think Jude's important.
Yeah,
I do. I like Jude. Like, I think the last Euros, he made a big, like, he wasn't great, but then he came up with that moment. And you know, them players are so important because there will be games, especially towards the quarterfinals, the semi-finals, where they're tight. And even in the group, you know, it's not always easy when you come up against a team that you're expected to beat. You do need something a little bit different. And you're right, we got Harry Kane, we got Dec who can hold midfield, but it's important the players around him. Anderson in midfield, I think he'll be important. I like him. I think he's grown so much, and you can see his influence he's now having week in, week out. Like, he's going to be important. Yeah, it's a tough one. I love Foden, and I know Scholesy said that as well, and I love him, but he probably hasn't quite worked out for him this year.
Okay. Look, before I let you go, I mentioned on your intro, of course, you played in that 2015 FA Cup final. Gabby came off the bench on 60 minutes, didn't score, obviously, claimed a pen. Claimed Mertesacker smashed him to the ground, wanted a pen. Do you remember too much or anything about that game?
I came off the bench as well, so there's nothing wrong with that, Gabby.
Exactly.
Did you? Yeah, you came off the bench to a side that were 4-0 up.
I'll tell you what I remember about that. So the year before, we played Hull in the final, and we were 2-0 down. And I remember, like, that was awful. It was I thought we were going to lose that one. So I remember the next year when we went, I think we went 1-0, 2-0 up before half time. I remember like having like a sigh of relief, and arguably as well going into that game, you know, in my opinion, the Villa team were better than the whole team we faced before, but probably we learned from the year before not to underestimate it and start really, really quick. So yeah, I remember Gabby as well. I remember Carlos Sanchez. He played in midfield, didn't he, Gabby?
Yeah, I think it was Delphi, wasn't it, as well? Jack,
Yeah,
obviously was up and coming as well. But they smashed us, mate.
Yeah.
Like Alexis Sanchez, that so many good players, didn't you?
Yeah, Theo scored the first one, didn't he? I was happy. I remember actually as well, Theo missed the one before because he done his ACL. So
yes,
yeah, that was nice for Theo.
Jack, you've been nice for us. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
Cheers, guys.
Beers on me next time. Thanks, pal.
Good luck for next season, mate.
Thanks, mate.